Hey guys, probably good morning to you as you're watching this. Today I'm going to share a reflection from John chapter 6. This passage has been on my heart for the last few days. I'm recording this a couple days after Valentine's Day, and the theme of love has been on my heart for a while. So when I noticed that, I was just praying. I said, Father, will you speak to me in this? And he led me to John chapter 6, this beautiful passage. And I'd just love to open a few thoughts that I've had as I've been reading it, and a few thoughts that I feel the Spirit has dropped into my heart, into my mind, to encourage us all today. So let's dig in. I hope you're ready. What is John chapter 6? Well, it's one of two miracles that are recorded in all four Gospels. And that's a really significant thing. Generally, the rule is the more Gospels that a certain miracle or story is recorded in, the more important it is as a revelation of Jesus. So if you think it's in one Gospel, that shows something about who Jesus is. But if it's in all four Gospels, you think this story is telling us something really important, something maybe really core to who Jesus is. And this is one of two stories in all four Gospels, two miracles. You might know might know one of them off just straight away, and that would be the resurrection, of course, the greatest miracle that we've ever seen and that history has ever known. The only person who has ever beaten death, Jesus Christ. The second one, which is now in the same category as that amazing miracle, is this: Jesus feeding the 5,000 men. If you add women and children, there's probably at least 10,000 people. So this is an incredible image and an incredible revelation of Jesus as a provider, of someone who loves us. Let me dig in to the first few verses. After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. And a large crowd was following him because they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. That already, I think, is beautiful. Loads of crowds knew and had seen what Jesus was doing for them and for the people around them in their communities. Jesus was healing the sick. And this power and this love attracted people to Jesus. As I was thinking about this, it hit me that he does the same thing today. And the image of this is of a large crowd following Jesus. It just reminds me of Jesus being a shepherd. Crowds follow Jesus, the shepherd, who is a good shepherd. And so today, I really feel like Jesus is just calling us into deeper obedience and deeper intimacy as one of his sheep, as we look to him as our shepherd. So the three things I want to draw out this morning are: 1, prioritize worship like Jesus. 2, put yourself in the hands of Jesus. And 3, pray for abundance to Jesus. So this is prioritize worship, put yourself in Jesus' hands, and pray for abundance. I hope this really blesses you. Let's dig in. So the first one, prioritize worship like Jesus. Let's go to verse 3. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. It's a simple verse, but isn't that amazing? Here we have crowds following Jesus, and what does Jesus do? What does he think is important? He goes up to a mountain. He sits down. Jesus was not in a hurry. You can see at the height of his ministry, where people are flocking to him, he's at the height of his popularity. What does he do? He just sits. What's interesting is where he sits. Jesus went up on the mountain. Now, why is that so significant? Well, think about it. Mountains in Hebrew thought are incredibly important. You've got Moses on Mount Sinai. You've got Elijah on Mount Carmel fighting the prophets of Baal. You've got Abraham on Mount Horeb about to sacrifice his son Isaac. You even have Jerusalem, the city of God, that is built on Mount Zion, on a mountain. So you see how important mountains are. They are real significant symbols of the presence of God on earth. Why is that? Well, if you think about the heavens and the earth, think about geography for a moment, you can see that mountains are the place where the earth is as close as possible to the heavens, right? They're the highest points. Mountains represent worship. So Jesus, what does he do at the point of his point of worship? At the point in this ministry, he prioritizes worship. And I think that's a word for us today. Maybe you and I just need to prioritize slowing down and being with him today. Where can you do that? There's a simple idea called margin, and it's been defined as the difference between your load and your limits. One idea that I'm trying to implement in my life is between meetings, just giving myself a gap to pray, to reflect and ask God, is there anything you were saying to me in there that I should be aware of and acknowledge? And is there anything I can pray for going into my next meeting? And maybe you guys want to try that this week as well, and just see what God says and does in and through you as you acknowledge his presence with you in every moment. So 1, prioritize worship. 2, put yourself in Jesus' hands. Verse 5, Jesus lifting up his eyes, then, and seeing that a large crowd was coming towards him, Jesus said to Philip, one of his disciples, one of the 12, where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat? Isn't that a crazy question? Jesus sees 10,000 plus people coming towards him, and he turns to Philip and says, hey, Phil, where are we going to feed these guys? If I was Phil, I'd be like, Jesus, aren't you the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who provides everything? Why are you asking me? And I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like the things that God has called me to do are things that are way beyond me. Obedience is hard, but it also feels like I'm given things to do that I can't do in my own strength. And that is exactly right. If you feel like that, you're in the same boat as some great people. Philip, one of the 12. Jesus often asks us to do things that we can't do on our own so that we can trust him. Now, hear this interesting verse 6. What John says about Jesus' question. Jesus said this to Philip to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. This was beyond Philip, but it wasn't beyond Jesus. And today, if it feels like there's something God is calling you to do, some way that you want to obey Jesus, be assured, Jesus already knows what he's going to do. So 2, put yourself in Jesus' hands. Just trust him and walk with him. Obey him. And finally, 3, pray for abundance. For abundance? Abundance. Let's just jump down. You'll probably know this story already, so you know the miracle that Jesus does. A boy with a packed lunch of 2 bread and 5 fish. 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Comes to Jesus, offers his packed lunch, and Jesus multiplies it so that he feeds the entire crowd and their leftovers. And I want to read this beautiful verse at the end. It says, Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. So also the fish he gave out, as much as they wanted. It's just a beautiful thought and a beautiful image. A little boy offered his little, and in Jesus' hands, it was enough for everybody. I don't know about you, but sometimes I can look at the world, I can watch the news, which I'm doing less often now, and I can just get hit, that the need in this world for healing and restoration, and ultimately for us to be restored and brought back into relationship with the Father, is so great that I can be overwhelmed. What's the good news that we can hear today? Well, when we give our little and we trust Jesus to do his part, he meets that need more than enough. This little detail, Jesus gave out the fish too, and everyone ate as much as they wanted. So today, if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, trust that with your little, what you have to give, even in your weakness, Jesus can turn it into strength, and through you, he can meet the needs of the world and those around you. So today, I'd just like to encourage you. 1, prioritize worship. 2, put yourself in Jesus' hands. And 3, pray for abundance and see what Jesus will do. I hope you guys have a great day. Stay close to Jesus. Be blessed. Bye.